and I would be both taken and held against my will? If you tell me you're feeling suicidal right now, today, this very minute, then yes. Then I'm not suicidal. You're not suicidal right now? No, not at all. The line between living and dying is surprisingly thin. And so, apparently, is the line between roaming miserably free and being abducted from a doctor's office by one misplaced word. I can only imagine what my fate would be if I didn't speak the Queen's English, because even grammatical errors could get one institutionalized before one ever knew what was happening. We make eye contact, the social worker and I know that she is letting me slide. Of course, that was my downfall. Her kindness predisposed me to believe that these people understood, and that whatever psychiatrist I may be assigned to would understand also. After all, it was my first time in such a hardcore mental health facility, and I was under the impression that this place existed precisely so that I could have a safe place to go and talk to someone should I feel suicidal. Not so that I would be put away for even saying the word. And how was I to know that there were magic words you don't touch? Landmines that will blow your life away if you so much as breathe on them. This is a mental health facility, serving the deranged, the delusional, and the generally fucked up. It isn't Grandma's Christmas dinner. Fuck! The suicide hotline really steered me wrong on this one. Remind me to take them off my speed dial. What are you here for? Says a woman in minty green scrubs and sounding a smidgen impatient about it. She's approaching me with a clipboard. I'm still at the back of the line, so she's probably come to ask what the hell I think I'm doing here, and why do I look like I've just come from a costume ball. And why am I wearing boots with skulls on them? Because it's bloody morbid and dying people shouldn't see things like that. And I'm suicidal, I announce. Oh my, I sounded almost proud about that. And I'm smiling. God, maybe I do belong here. The nurse looks as though she doesn't believe me, and I don't blame her. I'll try again. What I mean is, I tried to kill myself, so my doctor made me check myself in here, or else he will cut off my medication. I don't think I've ever sounded this stupid in my life. However, this does the trick, and the nurse marches me right past the front of the line and into a tiny examination room where another nurse sitting behind a desk orders me to sit down, left alone with nurse number 2. I fill out a form while answering her questions concerning the chain of events that have brought me to this point, which I neatly list for her in perfect order. The completed form having been taken away, the nurse now takes my vitals without responding at all to what I've just told her. I don't think she's heard a bit of what I've been saying. It was as unimpressive to her as someone explaining how they'd scraped their knee. First, I was running, and then I tripped, and then my knee was bleeding, and it wouldn't stop, so my mom sent me in for stitches, and here I am. First, I was born, and then I was molested, and then I was stalked, and then I was raped, all the while being mentally terrorized by the people who were supposed to love me, and then I ran away, and then I was depressed, and then I was suicidal. Well, actually, I've been depressed and suicidal since I was 4, and oh, did I mention that my ancestry is positively littered with lunatics and girls who fall down rabbit holes? And then I tried to jump in front of a train, but there were too many people watching. And yes, I'm a show pony. Clearly, but the train option is just vulgar, anyhow. And then I finally got myself medicated, even though I didn't want to, because I don't take drugs and I was afraid that my personality would be erased. But then my doctor tried to fuck me, and then I was diagnosed with manic depression, which really explained a lot. And then I compared brands of rat poison, but I didn't like the idea of supporting any company that obtains its revenue from the annihilation of one of our most charming and intelligent creatures. And then I was emotionally slaughtered by the only person I had ever trusted with the care and feeding of the heart I never knew I had until I was dead. And then I pulled an Ophelia and tried to drown myself in the lake behind his house. And then I was put on more pills, and then I was on the pill, so that I couldn't get pregnant no matter what, because I have severe togophobia, which is the mortal fear of pregnancy. But you probably knew that already. And I would never, in good conscience, pass on my genetics anyway. And then I found out that I was 3.5 months pregnant, even though I was on the pill that is supposed to prevent one from getting pregnant no matter what. The boy involved was appallingly cruel about it all, and so I tried to buy cyanide, but it's not as easy as it sounds. And then I had the abortion, and I was wide awake the whole time, and it was indescribably violent, like being raped by steel. And I said sorry to the baby. And then I looked across the shabby operating room and saw a plastic bag full of everything that had just sucked out of me because the nurses had forgotten to hide it. And I was completely alone through all of this forever and ever and ever. So then I took all of my sleeping pills at once, because I've actually been dead for years and years and years and years and years. But my body just doesn't realize it yet. And then my doctor sent me in for a suicide watch, and here I am. I hope it hasn't started without me. Blood pressure and body temperature looking well enough. A plastic hospital bracelet is slipping onto my wrist. Much higher quality than those at rock concerts, and virtually unbreakable. You concert promoters out there should seriously look into these. And fancy that, it already has my name on it. Emilie Autumn Lytle. Yes, that Lytle. You can see now why I don't use that name. Everything done. I would have thought I'd be off to a hospital room or tied up to a pole or something. But alas, it's back into the waiting room for me. There is something slightly dangerous in the air, and I don't feel that my new plastic bracelet is giving me the street cred that I'd hoped it might. I've been given another form to fill out, so I take my clipboard and choose a torn vinyl chair in the middle of the room. Having learned the hard way that a room's more remote edges are the worst place one can be. I can explain. If you want to be safe, walk in the middle of the street. I'm not joking. You've been told to look both ways before crossing the street, and that the sidewalk is your friend, right? Wrong. I've spent years walking sidewalks at night. I've looked around me when it was dark, when there were men following me, creeping out of alleyways, attempting to guide me into speaking to them and shouting obscenities at me when I wouldn't. And I suddenly realized that the only place left to go was the middle of the street. But why would I risk it? Because the odds are in my favor. In the States, someone is killed in a car accident on average every 12.5 minutes, while someone is raped on average every 2.5 minutes. Even when factoring in that one, I am generously including all car-related accidents and not just those involving pedestrians, and 2, that the vast majority of rapes still go unreported. And I should know, I think my logic in this case speaks for itself. And thus, this is now the way I live my life. Out in the open, in the middle of everything, because the middle of the street is actually the safest place to walk. My suspicions are confirmed. The nurse has not registered anything I've said in describing my reasons for being here on this fine and sunny Hollywood morning, and so she's given me this form to fill out instead, just to make life easier for everybody. Faced with the dauntingly vague and unsympathetic presenting problem field, I print suicidal, unable to function reliably in everyday life. An appropriately robotic description of an unspeakably painful condition. I cannot function reliably. I am mystified by the number of badged sporting policemen who are guarding the premises, the patients, or both. Looking around, I fail to see the threat, but there must be one, or else the state wouldn't have been able to justify the allotment of public tax dollars for their employ. And, as I mentioned, there is a faint odor of wrongness in the building, so perhaps the guns are necessary. Perhaps. The Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls. Written by Emilie Autumn.